Here's another story that's coming up. I'm gonna talk about the halibut fishing 2023 and when I learned how to meter these fish. And it seems like people are more interested when I kind of throw in there, the stuff that was happening to me, like the harassment and all that stuff that was happening from these other landings and why I left certain landings and so on and so forth. And I'm not afraid to say it now because, like I said, under, I understand the definition of slander and defamation, which did happen to me, and everything I'm saying is basically it's the truth. And if I don't say state assumptions as facts, and if I do assume something, it's based on the surrounding facts, and I'll let that be known. But like I said, beginning of all that stuff started, at the beginning of the year, the end of last year, on of 2022 when I filed bankruptcy. Then that was the case that started this one. Before was in 2021 when I hired my captain. And that's when the mouth tried to push on us, and you just try to intimidate people. And honestly, I respected the man so much that I mean, I just heard him, just heard what he had to say. And he had a tendency to talk to people like they were kids, and like I respect, I heard what he had to say, but if I would have really known and I would have paid attention, he was just, you know, undercover, doing it undercover and disrespecting me, talking to my people. That fools were so mad because his son couldn't keep up with me. It was ridiculous. Like I said, that's not my fault. But we did run the first trip out of the landing I was at. My birthday, we did, well, we didn't see it, but I watched it get bit. Sea bass bite a different way. It's like kind of like whitefish, pinch your line up and down. And I did meter some fish. We did. There was some signs of squid. We snagged one. They came under the lights, not very good. Um, anyhow, Tomasino, Steve Tomasino's the one that got bit, and then he called me. I'm watching him, and he got bent. Unfortunately, I wasn't ready for it. We ran up to the front of the bow, and by the time I got to get it around the anchor, those fish you got to keep tension on them. They shake their heads a lot, and that's how a lot of people lose them. So unfortunately, that was my fault. I couldn't see the direction of the line going under the anchor. It should have been obvious, but just in the, I don't panic, but I ain't gonna lie. First fish of the year, I panicked. And just when we got the first fish of the year, when I took the crew out, honestly, I was pretty panicked with the gaff, but I got them. But 2020, February 20th, my birthday, we did hook the first one, and I mean, I put everything on it. Tomasino is one of the long time great fishermen that's been around, for years and years back. I know him back 20 plus years when I started. So, I mean, he is good, and he is that good, yeah. So, anyhow, missed it, didn't get it, whatever, broke him. We just shook the hook, just shook it, and that's all it did. I know that's what those fish do. If it was a ray, a lot of times those rays will, they stick in them. And it wasn't a yellow with it. No. And pretty certain that's exactly what it was. So that's where I caught the first fish in the bay, anyways, on the crew trip. And moving from there, we those sea bass were up. We used to see them. They were spawning, but the difference between the years before, a couple of years before, where we were catching them already, was that we seen them very little. The spawn was on 2023. These fish were just, I mean, everywhere, but they were spawning in near the beach, near, and the difference that I noticed was the water temperature. Water temperature before, year before, was warmer than it was in 2023. 2023 was 59, and when we started getting bit very good, the years before was 63. 61 to 63. So that water temperature, you know what I noticed, and I would pay attention to signs where I caught them from the years before and the water temp. That I mean, that's how I used to follow them and chase them. Um, and then when my guys would cut them, I would ask, well, what were they, males or females? Because some schools are just all females, some are all males, some are mixed, and then you'll get a lot of smaller males. But that's how I determined what schools I was on, and I could smell them. It's weird, but people thought I was lying, but I could smell these fish. I don't know if it's the rubbing the slime, but because I always had my head outside the window looking, and I could smell these fish. It's people can say whatever they want, but people have been around me where I could smell them and we caught them. Just pull up on these fish and caught them. But anyhow, all said and done, this since those fish weren't biting, I had to resort to another option of big fish because I had my big fish contest, which was uh, which was being sponsored, from my boat and Eric's Tackle. They built the rods, and we had first, second, third place. And so if we couldn't catch sea bass, I had to give them another option of catching something large. So I started fishing halibut. And the halibut, it was good and bad, and I know these other boats, got big old numbers, but they weren't fishing local. They were making long runs, and I mean, for me to make that run, it would take me 4.5, 5 hours to make it there. Actually, West End is, yeah, on the backside would be 5 hours, and these people were going over there. They were hiding where they were catching them because we weren't talking anymore. But all my stuff was local. It was either Anacapa. Um, and nobody fished these spots, before. They would fish, above, below Cat Rock and all that inside for the first gap. Well, I found some fish, at another spot, and then I found these other fish, at the same spot, but how I found them was, and how I learned to meter them was different. I was fishing them, super deep, and there were signs to it too. So when I pull up on some spots, I'd ask people to go out and look for a certain sign that pretty much you see these things, these certain type of insects or whatever. um, then these fish will be it'd be in an area, and so that's what I was doing, and uh, and and that's how it was. I remember, us getting bit out in Capital. We had 14 fish, and usually, anytime we ended up with 10 fish right there in that spot. You lose other fish. I mean, this stuff was crazy. It was like all local, like and it's funny because all these boats, they talk about their spot. So you can't fish their spot, but then I'll come around the corner and they're fishing my spot. Like these dudes were so privileged. What I mean, I could do it, but you can't kind of do it, kind of deal. And this just was evident. Like I said, when it came to my pose, you can listen to some of the lyrics. You know what I mean? They act like I was following them around. I remember one time we were up at Willows, and I meet her at school sea bass, so I'm trying to be cool with these boats. There's 5 boats out there. Nobody wants to answer me. One boat does. She's like, "Oh yeah, okay, thank you. I'll let them know." And nobody answered me but him. And well, I've been catching my sea bass up here, and it's funny is because I already knew he was catching them up there, and then he didn't know about the week before. I was chasing the school all the way up to Laguna, and I was on that school, and unfortunately I couldn't get a bit. But see, working by yourself, like you have to pick and choose. If you end up on the front side searching for fish, you can't go to the back, especially that far back, or you spend so much time at handicap, or you handicap yourself, and that was what when working in groups, what eliminated me. I didn't care. I didn't mind going the extra distance, to be a team player, to look at a different spot. But a lot of these other, and I was the slowest boat. Don't forget that. But a lot of these other guys just contribute nothing, not anything. I mean, I remember when I worked on my boat. I worked on that boat for 4.5 years. I used to go make squid all the time when it was my boat, but not one time did we ever go make squid on my boat when uh, uh, when I was just working on deck. Not one time. We never attempted one time. But he get mad when those other boats get squid and they didn't share it. It's just like, what do you contribute as a team? I mean, all he did was take, and it's the truth. So, I mean, like I said, these people talked a lot of shit about me. I've heard it from many people. Everyone talks shit about me. People over there at the other landings over there in Ventura, I heard, people told me, "Oh, this guy's talking shit." Well, I'm not surprised. The dude's a big shit talker, and everyone told me. I mean, I can care less. The bridges have been burned. They burned their bridges. People talk about burn, but I don't care. I was working by myself anyways. But I would have more respect for these people if they would have, told me to my face. You know what I mean? This fool thinks he's somebody because these fools ain't shit. Fools ain't shit, really. I mean, like I said, but I guess in the industry like this, that's what they're made of now. They talk about you, but they won't tell you to your face. And customers were our greatest mediators, I think. Because they love fishing with all the great captains. You know what I mean? And they didn't want to fish with everybody, and there was a reason why. And all the good captains and these guys, they wanted our groups wanted us to get along because it benefited them, and just like, I have one day, and then I know the group that fishes my boat regularly is on another boat. If I get bit, I mean, I'm gonna call them up because I mean, my people are on there. I want them to catch fish and catch fish. I'm not gonna be like, well, shit, I'm the only one catching fish, and I know they're on there. Like, I want my guy. I mean, these guys are what kept my boat running. I gotta share the wealth, and these guys just don't think like I did. Anyhow, like I said, yeah, I metered the fish the first time at Anacapa, um, and it was kind of like, man, but every time I would be on the meter, I would watch her be like, boom, fish coming into the boat, get bit, fish coming into the boat, get bit. And I would say that on the meter. And then the second time to confirm it, I was a scorpion. I ran over the sign of how I started meeting them, and I stopped, turned around, got on it, told them to drop, ended up with a 30-pound halibut. Um, and the place where I meet them the most was Santa Cruz, and how, like I said, I figured it out. I always I pay attention to my meter so much, like I remember seeing these markings before, previous from the previous year, and and that year I just figured it out. It was them, and I mastered the way how to keep my boat, on them. And I mean, you could ask. There was one sport boat that pulled up from. I wasn't at that landing anymore, and so I didn't talk to them. But they pulled up and we had three fish on, three halibut on. You know what I mean? And this is all local. Like I said, three halibut on, and one of the passengers ended up, messaging me the next day. He's like, "Man, we were so glad that we seen you guys out there because we didn't have shit until we seen you." And he's like, "We started just drifting the same place you were. We ended up with three halibut, But I mean, I was trying to hide the spots because I mean, I would see some boats like they were waiting for me to leave, and they knew I was catching halibut. And it's funny because that's how it was, I mean, but since they want to talk to me, they want to be children, that's on them. The older owners, these other, one was the oldest one, and he was out there, and he was like the captain of the fleet, and that dude he just he was just a weak person, and I don't know if he knew he was a captain of the fleet because we would have all listened to him. I would have respected him regardless. He would have, been him like that. But at the end of the day, he tried to say, "Hey, well, it was you that didn't want to talk to us." I said, "No, no, no, no." I said I won't talk to that boat because they were trying to steal my boat, my business, and my people. And then he tried to say, like, "No, if you read the text." I says I can't work with anybody that's trying to do that to me. You know what I mean? Like, come with any of you guys? I mean, let's be honest, So he knew exactly what he did. He tried to tell me, and I was just like, I'm not gonna even tell him. Go read your text. I never said I was gonna work with you guys. I said I wasn't gonna work with him, and that was that. You know what I mean? Like, how could I work with somebody that's trying to steal my people, trying to steal my business, they're trying to take my boat? Like, I'm done with you guys, and I'm gonna help them. Like, no, I'm not helping them. So they know what they did, and then when they try to come apologize, he just knew he was wrong, and he just wouldn't admit they were wrong. You know what I mean? And it still continued. You know what I mean? These dudes trying to act like try to paint a picture over a picture that was already painted. Like no, no, I'm not playing that. But yeah, I mean, we would pull up in these spots, and I'm not like the last day, we had 17 halibut for 8 of us, and I've never been on my boat when somebody else ran it that we didn't have. I think the most we ever had was 5. You know, never had a sea best limit with them. One time one fish, never had a 3 fish limit with them. I conquered all those feats. When I took over. I mean, there was times we should have had, I'm not lying, 20, 30 halibut, but 20, 30, 40 probably, but um, I made the best out of it. Gave my people the best opportunity, and some of these guys, like, I never been a part of this, something like this. And like I said, it's all local. This is local. I mean, local islands, where I can't, I couldn't do what I want to do because, Coast Guard was, like I said 1 minute over. Or like I said, one of my passengers said that he's seen them clocking me, and this is one of my regulars. So now you get back at 4. That's bullshit. You know what I mean? Like I'm fishing for my people, and then these guys are leaving before me and coming after me, and it's just like, and they're the ones that are calling fishing game on me. Like I mean, Coast Guard, and like I said, I mean, I know what they're doing. I mean, it was scandalous. It was wrong. I mean, my people paid the price for it. And they're paying just as much as these other people. You know what I mean? So what's the difference? Why could they do it and I can't? And like I said, Coast Guard was helping them. Andrew Schmidt to be exact. You know what I mean? And I addressed him. I addressed him multiple times. And like I said, the story you guys really haven't heard the real story of this. You know what I mean? But yeah, they were harassing us. And they were singling us out. We were supposed to all be doing the roving watch, and me and this other boat were the ones because we had bunks, and people come and tell me like, hey, um, you're doing it, but you know we'll just leave it at that. I was doing it, and they were making it seem like they're making everyone, that's just wrong. That's just wrong. you know but we that I think a week before or a few days before, Copes, some of the guys out there from Copes was out there, and we got 19 of these halibut. Um, I mean, we were putting up numbers. We were putting up numbers. This was no, this is, this was no fluke. You know what I mean? This was exactly what it was. You know what I mean? Somebody fishing for their livelihood, fishing for their people. Um, I mean, you won't catch me talking shit about my people, but you know, I mean, hey, to each his own. You know what I mean? When people think they have the world in their hands, they forget that they're just a small part of it, and that they're that big because, the people that view them make them that big, you know what I mean? And people they knew that, like I said, if I knew everything that was being said about me out there, I could defend everything, but, these guys were just clowns, and they were mad. I mean, they wanted the people I had, and like I said, I went from the biggest landing to the smallest landing, and I ran every day, and still got limits of sea bass, still put in numbers on halibut, caught over 100 halibut, had 10 yellows for maybe 20. Those were big yellows. I was putting in work, still making. I had to make my own bait. My landing didn't have live bait. You know what I mean? So, with all that effort, and so little period of time, I mean, think about the time. The time, you know, I was allowed to fish because of, I was handicapped with no live bait. I mean, and people talk all their shit. I remember one of the days we're fishing, and a little skip comes up like, "Hey, Chauncey," he gets on the radio. He's like, "You want some squid?" And he's like, "Yeah, fuck 'em. We don't have a lot." Like, he comes, and I'm not lying. He gave us 10 pieces, and I was thinking it was gonna be like a scoop, but I appreciate it because you don't understand. Like, to this man, he was, he gave us everything he had. That shit meant more to me than one of these big boats that was actually there. And after they seen him, give me that little scoop of squid. They call fucking one of his other boats, and from their landing, and he gives them like two, three scoops, and I'll never forget it because if that fool knew that dude on that big boat knows exactly what he did, trying to rub it in his face. Fool knows where he came from, but you know these fools try to act disrespectful like that, like there's something but in front of you, like you just start looking at them, they're just a joke. You know what I mean? They're just a joke. You know, try to, make it seem like they're, like what a joke. You know, what I mean, I'll never forget that dude. You know what I mean? He ain't working on that boat anymore, but that's all I was dealing with. You know what I mean? And that's their fault. You know what I mean? Like I said, I was by myself. You know, I mean, and we made it happen. Like I said, we put these halibuts to shame, and our people just they couldn't believe it. And like I said, and I wasn't running fucking, to, as far as they were. You know what I mean? And everything was a secret with them. But then they want to get at me. Oh yeah, yeah. After that bite was done, they could have run, try to get info from me where I was fishing. Like I told them I was metering them. Did I tell them where I was at? Nah. Like find out yourself. I mean, you guys work with the skips. They act like they found all the fish. They used to talk to the skips. The skips knew before the sport boats. I didn't talk to the skips. You know what I mean? I was by myself. They, fucking, they had the skips on their team. I didn't have anybody. You know what I mean? So that was the year that we did it. And I, like I said, I mean, we were putting numbers. These numbers are ridiculous. You know? And like if you didn't do a certain thing, you weren't getting bit by these fish. It had to be a certain way. So I figured it out. I put it in, I put it in the box here of what I needed for another day, and I used it for another day, and I used it for whenever I needed it. And like I said, passengers were there. Some even knew what I was doing. You know what I mean? Because I let them know. But I dealt with a lot of that stuff. Like I said, sleeping in my car. My kids were sleeping there, and I remember one day I didn't want my kids. Once I started sleeping in my car, I didn't want my kids sleeping in the car. But I mean, one day, she just had a little incident at the house, and she wanted to stay with me. And some people, that never, live something like this, have your kids sleep in the car with you, like, you try to have better for them, but I stepped right there. I remember our patrol came, saw. I had my daughter in the back seat sleeping, and I had to sleep in the front seat, and but that's how she wanted it. But I didn't want it like that. I didn't want them sleeping on the boat with me, but they wanted to be with me. So, it was a hard fight. It was a hard fight. That's why I had to leave that place. You know what I mean? And they just allowed me to get treated like that, and they were treating me such. So, you know, and like I said, I got everything: paperwork, emails, texts. I mean, it could go as far as to say I was going to shoot these landings up. I mean, come on. I mean, silly. But look at the numbers. The number I had over 100 halibut. Uh, look at the statistics from the years before. Like, this guy, I looked at it like, out of the whole time, I mean, didn't even have, I don't think, one yellow that year, one of these boats. It's supposedly the best, like, had 50, 60 some sea bass. I think he barely made the 100. I pushed, by June 15th, we only fished, 2 months? And I already had, what it took for them to catch the whole year. I mean, look at 2021. They only had, 50 sea bass, 50 some sea bass. I had 200 some, and that's not everything. I had 300 each year. 2021, 2022, I had over 300. And these guys know I did because that's what they asked. You know what I mean? I didn't show everything because that's what they asked, but I had that much. Think about that. Like, and my boat is a small boat, don't we didn't carry no more than 12 people. You know what I mean? And we're just right there blasting, one fish, three fish limits. And I'm thankful that my people listened and we got it done like that. But um, because without them, it couldn't have been possible. So, you know, like I said, it's probably the last times I'll ever run the boat again. But at least when I leave now, that everybody they should come up and speak up and let people know how good I am and how good I was. You know what I mean? Because it took something out of sport fishing that some people said that, you asked them how good I was, and they compared me to certain people. So it wasn't me comparing myself. I didn't try to be like anybody but myself, and I learned from everybody, even the bad captains. You know what I mean? But sometimes you got to learn what not to do. So thanks to my guys, I mean, over 100 halibut. I wish I could just put in a collage of all these days of we're just messing these things up, but you know what I mean. Without them, I couldn't do it.